87% of the Northern Cape's drinking water systems are in a poor or critical performance, a severe deterioration in drinking water quality since 2014, with Gauteng and the Western Cape's drinking water systems in excellent performance, according to the report. But also 64% of the wastewater treatment works are at high or critical risk of discharging partially treated or untreated water into rivers and the environment. These are just parts of the 2023 Blue and No Drop reports and the Green Drop Progress Assessment findings released by the Department of Water and Sanitation yesterday. The reports come as many municipalities are facing no water or limited access to clean and quality water. To talk more about the state of the water quality in South Africa, we are joined by the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Senzo Mchunu. Minister, thank you. It's a pleasure to have you here on the program.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Leanne, and the SABC viewers.
So, Minister, if we look at the report, the Blue No Drop reports and Green Drop Progress Assessments findings, they come as communities around the country are facing no water. A lot of people are suffering at the moment when it comes to the lack of water supply, and we are seeing results coming through that are really painting a dire picture of the state of the water in the country. Perhaps you want to respond to this.
It's a concerning situation, very concerning. On one hand, we are pulling no stops, making sure that we advance in our quest to ensure that everybody has access to water as quickly as possible in South Africa. And we're making progress in that regard. While on the other hand, we are making sure that in terms of water availability in the country via a resource infrastructure, that we are separate and stable. But we are aware that we have an acute test in terms of quality of water in South Africa and quality of effluents, or rather compliant effluents or effluents released to rivers that complies with the norms and standards. So we're aware of the challenges around us, but what we are saying is that these assessments, had they not stopped or been stopped in 2014, surely because the release of these results make you know as a municipality where you are. They make departments, the Department of Water and Sanitation, know exactly where you are, where to go in terms of improvement. It's like a person who is sick. If you don't know you are sick, you won't go to the doctor. You won't even know that you have to go to the doctor and so on. So the lapse in the period has done more harm than good. But we have started making these assessments known for accountability, but for South Africa to know exactly where we stand. But we have a clear direction going forward because we know where to strengthen things. The issue of a supply of
Minister,
water
if I may,
households.
If I may interrupt you, I'm not sure this is good enough. I'd like to let you continue telling us that, we now know where people are sick and, and the patient and all of that stuff. But Minister, I don't think that's good enough. I don't think South Africans want to hear something like that. The reality is that 46% of the water in South Africa is not drinkable. We cannot drink this water. We have not, this is nothing new. This is now just written on black and white. This is just a paper that we are looking at. People have died because of the quality of the water. People on a daily basis talk to us about the color of their water, what it does to them, how sick it makes them. And then we have a president who actually goes to a ceremony to open a tap, and we need to applaud you for doing that. Minister, I'm not sure that any of this is good enough. This is a basic human right. Let's get real here. Let's get real.
Yes, I agree with you. We are not stopping at what I am saying. we are moving on. We have said we are now in an era where we have to review and deal with fundamental issues. The fundamental issues here is one that municipalities in South Africa, which are water service authorities, which are the ones that supply water to your house, have declined to a point where, in terms of their capacity, we need to intervene. And how we are intervening on this matter, we have said from now on, the water service authorities need to appoint water service providers. That is in accordance with the Water Services Act, so that you have a Johannesburg-like situation where the municipality is an authority, but they have a specialist entity on the other side called Johannesburg Water, which is solely focused on water provision to households in a specialist kind of way, just professionally, managerially, going on to perfect the situation of managing water. And this includes billing collection and using that money to invest back to water infrastructure, which is the source of the problem. Now, your comment on it's not true, absolutely not true, that President went to Kanyagodi to open a tap. There were 469 other taps in the same area. He couldn't go to all of them. I'm just correcting that, but we are here to say we are not stopping at what we are saying. I myself have said, I don't want to be a minister of lamentation. I don't want to lament and keep on lamenting. I know at the same time that in water service authorities, which are municipalities, they are legally there, they are constitutionally there in terms of the framework, but we take over a responsibility as a leader of the sector, and as such, we are taking action to say, this is not going to work for quite some time, and therefore let us introduce these measures. One of the measures that we're introducing, for instance,
may I just, and I'm going to get to, I'm going to get to that, Minister. Thank you for your sort of allowing me to ask you some questions as well, and we'll get to the point of what you're actually going to be doing about it, because you know this isn't something that sort of came out of the blue. You know, you have been in leadership as a party since the beginning. We have watched this deteriorate over the years. People have been talking out about this. I mean, when we look at this report now, it's basically saying that 64% of the country's sewage and wastewater treatment works are also at high or critical risk of discharging partially treated or untreated water into rivers and to the environment as well. These have been going on and on. 958 water supply systems, 277 located in 62 water service authorities have been identified in a critical state of performance, which are some of these authorities, and this is really down to mismanagement. So as much as you say you're going to turn things around now, it was under your watch as a party and as leadership that we landed in this position in the first place. Why is everything now going to change?
Yeah, no, let's get things factually correct. Yes, you can make reference to the party, especially when things are ugly, looking ugly as they are. But ordinarily, this is government that we're talking about. And we are saying, as government, we're taking note of the deterioration, and perhaps it was an error to rely exclusively on municipalities as water service authority to supply water to households. And it is clear now that you can no longer go on relying on declining municipalities as they are in terms of their capacity to supply water. By the way, we can talk water crisis, but it is not all over. For instance, on the side of water resource management, the availability of water in dams and so on, we're doing relatively well. We're even augmenting water via a number of large schemes. Of course, they had lapsed, but we've resuscitated all of them. And we're relatively secure on the availability of water side. Where we're ailing is on supply of water to households, which I'm saying comes as a result of reliance for too long on municipalities, which are declining and have been declining. Now, we have stopped doing that. We are saying no longer rely on this. Turn the situation around by one, pushing your water boards into the service area, not just bulk, but service. You may be aware that municipalities like Mfuleni and others are quite at an advanced stage in negotiating with Rand Water to say, please be our water service, be our service provider, which there's no doubt they will do better. And of course, the fact that we're at 62 in Gauteng and 50 in the Western Cape means we have got a foundation to build on, but we can't build downwards. We have to build upwards. And we acknowledge the challenge, the seriousness of the situation, and we are taking it as such. But we see a light at the end of the tunnel, because in the 62% in Gauteng of municipalities doing well, I can tell you that there are others that are quite excellent, which means that this thing is doable. It's not undoable. It's not something that is impossible. It's just that we relied for too long on municipalities as water service providers instead of rising to the occasion and say, no, these people are declining and let's bring in something new. And we have now brought something new, including Section 62, which allows 63, which allows Minister of Water and Sanitation to intervene, not to look at a municipality perpetually declining and hoping that they are going to turn around and be good in providing water, which is quite essential. Now, once we finish this process in Parliament, we will be able to intervene directly without reliance on Section 139, so that we take full responsibility and full accountability of water services in the country. Of course, working with stakeholders, as it were, because we don't work alone, but be enabled to intervene directly when things, so that I'm fully accountable as Minister of Water and Sanitation and our department. So we see end of the some light at the end of the tunnel. It's not all gloom.
Do you think,
and so on.
Is it a crisis, Minister? Are we living in a crisis?
Pardon?
The water situation in South Africa, is it a crisis?
Is it? Oh, yes.
A crisis.
I hear that. No, when Leanne Manus sit in her house and say, for the last 5 hours, for the last 5 days, I haven't had water, and she describes the situation as a crisis, I will agree with that. I would say, yes, it's a crisis. But it's a crisis in that family. It's a crisis in that village. It's not necessarily a national crisis, as it were, in terms of proportion.
Minister, there are weeks. There are weeks when communities don't have water, not hours, weeks. They have weeks with no water. And then I know that you mentioned that you need, in fact, there are years that communities haven't had water. I would call that a crisis. You've told people that they need to boil their water. Minister, if I may, I've given you a very long time to talk. Let's just take Hammanskraal into consideration. A cholera outbreak. People are dead because of the poor water systems. I mean, is that not a crisis? Is this not something that we have to turn around and say, we saw the electricity and we've seen what's happened with electricity and things were not done fast enough and we're in a situation like we are now. This is what's happening to water and many people are speaking to it. Can you admit we're in a crisis and that drastic measures are being taken?
I will agree with you, but remember that we have different roles. You are Manas, you are in SABC, you are a citizen in the country, you are allowed to express yourself the way you see it. We who are in the system and managing water, we will say in Hammanskraal, we are completing the process of procuring a package plant. And we want to see that package plant producing new water and replacing temporarily what has led to the situation that you are describing.
Yeah.
So while there would be a crisis in terms of the people who are looking on, we who are managing water, we are saying we need to push and be faster in finishing the procurement processes, which are now at evaluation, and we're living on this on a day-to-day basis. Yes, I would say we need to be in a hurry, more than before. We're not sleeping. We are working, and we're working very hard, because while we would complain about that, I would tell you that in the situation of Lesotho Highlands Water Project, there's dust and mud. I would tell you that in Guyana, there's dust and mud. So in every rather ugly situation, there is something good that's being turned around.
All right.
It would be a different matter altogether if we were sleeping and not doing anything. But all over the country, I can tell you for a fact that in this situation, we're turning things around.
All right,
and so on. Of course, it comes from the fact that it took us a little bit long to wake up to the occasion that no municipalities, including Tswana, including Johannesburg, including all over Western Cape, we're now in that situation where we have to take things by hand, turn them around.
All right,
and
Minister,
and give hope to the people of
I
South
don't want to, because I want you to carry on, but I got to say goodbye. The program ends in just a few seconds' time. That was the Minister of Water and Sanitation, Senzo Mchunu, talking to us about the findings of that 2023 Blue and No Drop reports. 4% was what the last report said in 2014. 46% is what it says now in terms of unsafe drinking water.